Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm your host, Jeff Howard, and today I've got a pretty fun podcast for you. I've got Blake Laitner with me. Hey, Blake.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. All right, so let me give Blake a little introduction. First, if you couldn't tell, we are not in the same room. We are on Zoom. So the usual disclaimer about audio quality, it's not our fault, and sometimes there's a micro delay with Zoom, so I promise you, Blake and I are not talking over each other. We're very respectful. But with the micro delay of what happens on Zoom, sometimes on playback, like we talk over each other. So I swear to God, we're being polite. But unlike almost all the guests on this podcast, Blake did not come to me through Sherman Oaks Film Festival or Film Invasion Los Angeles, which are the two film festivals that I run as festival runner. Blake made an indie film called We Need Rent Money, and you reached out to me on Instagram.
Yes, sir. Instagram.
And you gave me a link to the website, and you explained how uniquely you're presenting the film and touring with it. And I thought to myself, you know what? And cursing is more than welcome on this podcast. I said, this is some interesting shit. Like this is some cool shit. Here's an indie filmmaker approaching things originally. So I totally let go of my Sherman Oaks Film Festival. Yeah, I totally let go of the guideline that people got to come through the festivals, and you came right in the back door.
I believe once you see a door, you kick that fucker in. Excuse Mama Fred. My mom said not to say the F word on this podcast, but once you said I could curse,
you're welcome to curse.
If your audience could have a problem with the F word, then they're probably not going to enjoy We Need That Money. I'll be totally honest with you. But thank you for having me on.
It is, and apologies to your mom. I didn't mean to corrupt your son and have him curse in front of the public, but, you know, what are you going to do? So, how do you
she knows me by now. In 38 years, I think she knows me by now.
She should know you. By 38, she knows her son curses, and you were encouraged by the host to be yourself. So, how do you want to introduce We Need Rent Money? Like, what do you want to? Instead of me telling you what you told me on Instagram or showed me, just I want to set you free.
All right. Backstory to We Need Rent Money. I'll tell you a little bit about my film career, how I got started in the film industry. We all in life feel stuck sometimes when we don't have a direction in life we want to go. My direction I felt stuck was when I was washing dishes at this place called King of State Winery, and having a college degree, being a Pisces, I'm known being creative enough and saying, well, you know, we always say, I can make something better than that, you know? And I decided with my parents also who believe in my dreams and raised me around the art, took me to art museums and plays and just anything that had to do with art. So, I was always believed that, you know, we could create anything we want to create, either a screenplay or a short film and stuff. So I decided to go to a film vocational school that is an LA-based program called Film Connection. And they connected me with a mentor up in Portland where I met another fellow student, and we're sitting at this mentor's house watching Jaws and dissecting Jaws and eating lasagna. And I'm thinking, like, why aren't we just out, like, shooting with cameras and doing that kind of thing? That's what I thought I was going to get from this film program. So, like, meeting you, I took things into my own hands. I'm sitting, like I said, having lunch with a fellow student. I look at my buddy Hakeem Reagan, and I said, what the hell are we doing? Are we going to even make a movie? And then I found out it wasn't even a requirement to make a movie. It was just write a script, come to LA and pitch to a producer, which I did do, which was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, he didn't pick up my Hollywood blockbuster film like most indie filmmakers have to deal with. But so that was the beginning of the journey of starting to make shorts. I made my first short, which was The American Dream. It was shot on a red with real actors up in Portland. I told myself I can't go to film school and not make a movie. I would hate myself the rest of my life if you're going to go to do a program and not do exactly what it says, that what it is. It's film. It's, I mean, what's the point of doing something if you're not going to go all the way with it? So I took things into my own hand. I made The American Dream. Long story short, which wasn't short, then my father saw The American Dream, saw what we did with what little we had, and then we made an award-winning short called The Stairs, which is based on a true story of my grandfather talking to Holocaust survivors about almost being gassed to death in Auschwitz. And my father is a 10-year-old boy sitting on the staircase listening to this story. And he never wanted to bring up such a horrifying past, but he ends up hearing it as an old man from a tape recorder from an interview he did. My grandfather did. And, a lot of people said that is more than just a Holocaust short, the story of hope, and it really related to a lot of people. So then I got a taste of what accolades and film festivals were all about. And once you get the film itch, you can't go back. And till you're on set again, then that itch goes away. Now, I'm not saying film is a drug, but maybe some people would say it is. So then I did some other shorts, started to make some music videos. And then I was writing screenplays. And then I came to the conclusion, well, let's take both of my screenplays and put it on Blacklist. So I put it on Blacklist, and the screenplay we wrote that motivated us to make We Need Rent Money was called Space Pimps. Space Pimps is about a male feminist pimp that wants to be a hairstylist on his planet, but that's a job only for hoes. So in order to get off the planet, he needs to get a spaceship. When he gets an opportunity to go save his dad from this planet that are half lizard, half women, from this planet called Lizlock, the person that runs that planet, her name is Hornstone. She wants to eliminate pimping, but she's pimping her hoes, but she doesn't see it like that. So we send this to Blacklist. They gave us the advice, well, if you could get Snoop Dogg on board, you'd have a shot. So, but of course I don't have Snoop Dogg on speed dial. I do have a friend that has worked with Snoop Dogg, but the best advice they gave us, we could go all the way on a ludicrous premise. And so what we decided to do was we had to make a decision. Are we going to just keep writing these Hollywood blockbuster screenplays with the dreams of Hollywood coming to knock at our door? Or are we going to actually make a movie? So me and my partner decided, Samson Ray Simon, decided, who also is one of the leads in the movie. He's the wild card. He does a lot of crazy stunts. I'm not going to give it away because I want you guys to go see this movie on Friday. But his backstory is he was a backyard wrestler, so he was able to tolerate pain. So plus he signed all the stunts we did in this movie. He wrote these stunts and he knew how to do these stunts. So any of the stunts you do see in my movie, I recommend do not try them at home unless you want to break your legs we'll just leave it at that.
If people see stunts in any movie, if they do it at home, it's on them.
Yep, exactly. I mean, we are all adults here and we should be responsible for our actions. So we came to the conclusion, all right, we got to make a movie. What are we going to make? Then I thought, okay, where are we? I'm in Eugene, Oregon. What's the first thing that comes to you when you think of Eugene, Oregon, besides weed? Animal House. We're like, okay, so we'll make a college party film. So I'm saying, like, all right, so what's the story about? Like, what are we going to do? Samson's like, I'll tell you this story. You tell me if we can make this into a movie. I'm like, okay. So me and my roommates were unable to pay rent. So we decided to have the neighborhood drug dealer move into our house to help pay for rent. Then we had to deal with more than just rent. I'm like, this sounds like this could be a premise of a movie. And then I'm like, so what are we going to call it? And I'm thinking, like, can we call it We Need Rent Money? It's like, why couldn't we? So, yeah, 5 years later, we won 11 awards on streaming platforms. And then I decided, well, I'm only made not even $500 on streaming. So I decided, well, I have this show that I want to create now, the sketch comedy show. And what a better way to show to the public my show, but also show We Need Rent Money and create a tour. And then I'm like, so how am I going to go about this tour? And who is my market? And my market, if you watch my movie, is the cannabis enthusiast. So, any cannabis enthusiast I show this movie to, they do enjoy it. And so I'm like, okay, so let's start this thing called the 420 tour. And so I'm like, all right, let's start the 420 tour. Call up. Where are we going to start this? Obviously, Eugene, where I created the movie. Called up, crap loaded dispensary. No one believed in me, you know. But in life, I learned that you can never give up or it's over. So then I'm like, well, why don't I just try to go for the biggest city in Oregon, which is Portland. Started making phone call after phone call, getting on LinkedIn, contacting people after people. And then eventually I got a hold of an owner of a mom and pop shop named Brett, who would run this dispensary called Ascend, cannabis dispensary. And I pitched him on the idea and he said, I love this. I want to be the first person to do this because not only do I believe in your movie, but I believe in you and I believe in this tour. And the concept of the tour was to collaborate with a dispensary on a community movie event and bring the community together through the arts. He believed in this thing so much that I thought when he told me he bought tickets, he went to Walmart and bought one of those colorful rolling ticket things. He actually went to Staples and made customized tickets. He also donated a $300 gift certificate to his dispensary. In order to get in that raffle, you had to buy a ticket to the event. He also shut down his dispensary that evening earlier for his coworkers to go for an employee appreciation thing. So I did Portland, which I bring my buddy and he invites this random kid off the street. We didn't know he was on mushrooms at the time. That was interesting. He tells us he's going to go get some beers and then come back. We didn't think he was going to come back with a case of beer. Puts it under his shirt. It's the most obvious looking thing ever. But the theater was run by college kids, so they didn't care. But I didn't find out he was on mushrooms until the Q&A when he asked me in front of everybody if I ever watched my movie on mushrooms. And then he comes and sits by me during the movie and puts a broken watch on me and tells me how much he loves me and he puts this watch on my wrist. So, yeah, no, on the 420 tour, anything can happen. That's what I love about this whole journey. And it's funny how I would have went anywhere because after I did Portland, I started contacting every single person on LinkedIn in the cannabis industry, from CEOs all the way down to bud tenders. And I went to New Mexico. I went to Las Vegas. But I always put out to the universe, I always wanted to show my movie in LA. And the universe answered my call because I connected with the right person because the feeling was right. And now I'm showing my movie in Sherman Oaks on Friday, and I'm so honored to be a part of this whole thing with the Green Room on Ventura and the Higher Path LA. And the host, Megan, has been so awesome and so appreciative of all the advertising I've been doing for this. And I thought, what a great podcast to get on when I found you on Google, because you're in Sherman Oaks. And I would think maybe some filmmakers in Sherman Oaks would appreciate coming to see my movie.
There is I often joke about it, the Venn diagram. If you got a circle of people who make films and a circle of people who appreciate cannabis, there's a decent overlap. I think, but not that you have to be, and I'm not talking about being a stoner or anything, but I'm saying, like, especially in this era now, with cannabis being extremely legal where you live and I live, it's same as alcohol for us now, right? It's just tough. I'm older than you, but isn't it tough? Like, in my head, I still think of it as illicit, but it's no more illicit than a beer.
I just look at it as medicine.
Yeah, and so I was going to say that artistic, open-minded people are also open to the fact that cannabis is legal now, and it's not a big deal. It's just not a big deal anymore if you do or don't. I don't, I enjoy it on occasion. And
I mean, I let my actors smoke on the set because it was legal in our state. I felt like you're going to get a real performance from my actors if they're high, because that's the character I want them to play. Yeah,
and so interesting. I'm going to go back on some of the things you said. So fascinating. I'm very surprised that So you're in a college town, right? University of Oregon is in Eugene.
Yes, sir.
And the dispensaries there didn't embrace you. No one embraced you in the college town.
No one embraced me. I did a private screening here. It wasn't to the public, but no one embraced me.
That's funny. So that you get embraced over in Portland.
And I got embraced over in Portland. So, but it wasn't right away, sir. It was a million phone calls and then connecting with the right person.
Right. So you certainly proved the point.
Viewers is you're going to hear crickets whenever you're trying to find what you want in life. But eventually those cricket sounds start to get louder and louder and louder until they're an actual human voice.
Yeah. And you're a perfect example. Well, first of all, I mean, a lot of what you said about indie filmmaking, totally, obviously it's true. Like, it's not a high reward activity. You have to do it out of passion and out of love. I often say to people,
do you think you're going to make money on anything?
No. And the truth is, like you have to, you have to do it for the love of it. There's just no way around it. The world is, we particularly live in a country that, capitalism, I'm not anti-capitalism per se, but it's certainly the marriage of art and capitalism is tough. It's a little tough. I would
say a big theme of my movie is anti-capitalism, but let's be honest, when you do have 7 days to come up with rent, you got to do crazy things in order to make rent. You can't just go do a normal job.
Yeah. And so that was the inspiration for the film. I mean, it's a lot. I hear it a lot. You had been, as a film enthusiast, you'd been writing scripts and you were writing stuff that required a budget beyond your means. And you sat down and said, well, let's write a script that we can shoot ourselves without, I assume no one sold the kidney.
No, nobody sold a kidney. That didn't happen.
Yeah, because in truth, a group of friends can make a film. We've had films made at our film festivals under $5,000. Good
Yeah,
films.
the goal was to make the feature film for 10, but once you have to rent out an Airbnb and then you're paying everybody, it definitely added up.
Yeah,
And
for
and it's
sure.
still I still am investing money obviously into this thing today because it's all associated with the next project. So
Right, right. And every time you go to a new town or every time you submit to a film festival, there's just yeah, the idea that when you finish making the film, you can put the credit cards away, just another myth.
exactly. I mean, I am so blessed to, like I said, have amazing parents, a retired lawyer who's was my backer for my feature film, aka my father, Morton Leitner. Shout out to Morton Leitner. And yeah, it's amazing to have people in your life that support you and believe in what you're doing, even if it's a ridiculous stoner comedy.
And was the first place in Portland that mom and pop dispensary, and how wonderful is it that there's mom and pop businesses still.
It is
It was
fantastic. It was so fantastic because he told me he sold 80 tickets. Not 80 people showed up. I'd say 40 showed up, but just the amount of love he gets from his customers, is just awesome that, they're all going to be corporate, cannabis stores, but you got to still have those mom and pop shops because that's what I think makes America great.
so when you talked about the sound on the phone, so them saying yes to you helped you on the next call and the next call and eventually do you find
No,
your
actually, once I did Portland, I'm like, oh, this should be a piece of cake to get someone in Washington, Seattle. No, it wasn't. It was back to cricket. And then the cricket was one of those things where it's like, maybe I need to think bigger than the Northwest. Maybe, I should take my little pontoon boat out into the ocean we need rent money. And yeah, maybe it will get capsized, but at least I'm trying to get to the shore to the next place. So, and like I said, I would have went I could reach out to people in Detroit, New Mexico, Las Vegas, New York, and over and over and over again. And it's to the point where what kept me going is when I would get a response from somebody saying they're interested, but it's one thing to show an interest is another thing to commit.
and I assume it's not even just people being negative, like not all dispensaries, like every dispensary is different. And I happen to, as you know, well, I think I don't live too far from the higher path. And
I was thinking in
they
Sherman
have
Oaks,
they have that
right?
room they call the green room, which is
Yes,
technically
that's
separate and based upon the rules in the city of Los Angeles, I believe like there's no consumption allowed in there, but they have a space for events. Like I think most cannabis related businesses don't even have an event space yet because it's such a new idea because legalities are complicated. I know different. I actually have learned that it's city to city how different the legality around cannabis is so different from city to city that I'm sure a lot of dispensaries might want to say, yeah, we'd love to host a screening in your film in the corner, but they don't allow us to, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot
I
of hoops
think I
for
was running
people to get to.
into issues was I wasn't talking to the right people, and maybe the bartenders weren't relaying the message to the right managers, or it's just. And then I did have someone in LA called Pineapple Express. They were a big corporation, and the marketing team liked it, and then it went all the way to the directors of the board, and then they passed on it. So it was one of those things where it was like, okay, we love the idea of the event, but it's not up to us. So
They love the idea, but yeah, so funny.
It's funny. It's just, on LinkedIn. I see this girl in this red fur coat. Her name is Adrienne Earhart. And my gut feeling said, contact this girl. Contacted her. She connected me with Megan at the Green Room on Ventura. She told me they're associated with the Higher Path LA. She runs both the venue and the dispensary. Told her what I'm trying to do with the We Need Rent Money 420 tour, collaborate with the dispensary on a community movie event to bring brand awareness to all parties involved, and just have a good time. And she was all about it, and here we are. I'm showing it on Friday, and I'm so excited. I mean, anybody could go watch it on Tubi or Prime Video, but there's nothing like experiencing this thing on a big screen. And also,
that was your first step. Your first step is you did the Prime Video Direct and put it up for the world?
The film festival run was the first step, of course, sir. And that won 11 award winners from film festivals all over the world. We did really well in India, I think, because of the whole Bollywood, and I guess they're really into ridiculous comedies. So, but some big ones, like at South by Southwest, we didn't get into. I knew we wouldn't get in, but you have to go for long shots in life. Because like my mom always said, just do it, be a Nike. And Nike didn't pay me to say that. So.
No, Nike is not associating themselves with cannabis yet.
Yeah, one day I'm sure they will. So
they probably will, right? As soon as it's nationally legal, there's going to be, and then there's going to be a famous athlete who's pro cannabis who says, "I want a leaf on my shoe."
I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Ricky Williams was all about it.
Yeah. And how many stops? So the 420 tour, how many stops have there been so far?
This will be the second stop.
Oh, gotcha.
It's funny, it's so funny to call it a tour, and it's only been 2 stops, but you have to call it something, So one of those things, I just don't like being told I can't do something, because then I want to even do it more. So that's just how I feel like. And then I also decided, well, I'm going to create this new sketch comedy show. Well, I'm just going to put it on TikTok and Instagram. It's just so saturated with crap, I might as well create my own film festival and get, people involved that want to be involved, and show them love for getting me involved. And that's why I can't wait. I can't wait for Sherman Oaks on Friday, and I'm really excited to meet all you awesome people out there, for sure.
For sure. And does this mean you're still working the phone all the time, trying to get your next stop?
I actually am. It's so funny that now I'm trying. It's funny how once you start doing something, you will get random followers, especially the more you post and the more love you show to people. So I ended up getting this random guy on Instagram that connected me with this guy actually in LA that made hot sauce. So as an artist, I understand, we need to support each other in businesses. And I decided to buy the hot sauce from this guy named Hot Bob that makes hot sauce in LA, through a guy that connected me with this guy in Chicago. So I told this guy in Chicago, I would love to come out there. I know you're my biggest fan. Every time I post something, you show it love. And that's where I would love to show my movie next. What a great city that would be to do. But that's the great thing about the 420 tour. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I believe as long as I don't want to stop, it's going to just keep going. So, but I also want to keep. The goal is the right person's in the audience during this LA show, see what potential I have with what little I did with what I had. See now this new show that I want to do called Totally Mind Blowing. and pushed me in the right direction to finally get paid what I deserve. I feel like, if that makes any sense.
No, it doesn't. And I was, another random question, although it kind of fits with what you're saying, is I'm curious. So you had a nice turnout in Portland, and I guess this is only the second one. But I mean, I'd kind of hope that if you can keep the tour going, like word of mouth will, like after Portland, was there a little spike in like views on Tubi or Amazon?
Little bit, not too big of a spike, but I think the people that already saw it, that wanted to see it, saw it, and the people that did like it did tell a few people. What I love about my movie, there's just so many characters that everyone could relate to somebody in my movie. That's what's, I think, so special about it. But being comedy, you might piss some people off with some of the jokes, of course, But it's comedy for you. If you're not pissing somebody off, I don't think you're doing a good job. I'll be totally honest with you. So, and I just love everything about this, and I just can't wait to show people also a teaser to my new sketch comedy show, which is going to be called Totally Mind Blowing. And I'm going to show Stick in the Door, which is a sketch, and the goal is I want to sell wooden sticks. The wooden sticks for screen doors. So, the extra protection that you lock the door and then you put the wooden stick in there. So I made an infomercial called Stick in the Door. And it's a ridiculous comedy sketch, of course. And, the goal is on the stick going to be a QR code. They scan that QR code and then they're going to be able to watch the show on their phone, or they're going to be able to Chromecast it to their TV. So the goal also is to sell a product with every episode for Totally Mind Blowing.
Gotcha. Yeah, and sketch makes sense. I mean, it sounds to me like We Need Rent Money also has a sketch vibe.
Yeah, it has a music video. it has a lot of sketch vibes. Yeah, I would describe it trailer park boy kind of sketch feel kind of thing. Just a lot of love was put into it, and I just hope people enjoy it, really, in the end. And we worked so hard on it, and I'm just speechless, because it's funny how I wanted to show this movie in LA, and like I said, I would have went anywhere, but the universe answered my call. So,
yeah, amazing, very cool. All right, well, geez, we still got some time. Is there anything else? I mean, you said what you needed to say, I think.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear about you, sir. I mean, tell me a little bit about you. I mean,
no, I was gonna turn. Like I told you, most of the time, I have people answer 4 questions for me. And believe it or not, my original concept on this podcast, oh my God, I'm going to show how poor my memory is at this age. But, the Inside the Actor Studio guy closes with like 3 questions. I'm like, okay, I'm going to close with 4 questions about cinema, because I have a best friend, or a very good friend, whatever. I have a best friend who's a professional session drummer, right? Amazing drummer. Might have been world famous, but heroin kept him from being too famous when he was young and he was in a band that was going to make it. But so he goes on Facebook all the time and says, Neil Peart of Rush is the most overrated drummer of all time. Tell me I'm wrong. And he would start all these debates about overrated, underrated, this, that. And I said, okay, I'm going to start this when I was starting the podcast many years ago, I was like, I'm going to ask James's questions about cinema. Okay. So the idea was it would come at the end of the podcast, and then most of the time there wasn't really time, but I think we've been good about it. So I think we got time for me to just ask you those 4 questions now.
All right, shoot, Jeff.
All right. First one, this one's going to be very fun. Name 3 favorite movies. They don't have to be the best 3 movies. I'm not saying name the three movies you consider the best films ever made. I mean, just three films that you love, that you watch over and over.
It's so funny, cliche to say, but it is The Shawshank Redemption, which is considered one of the best movies ever made. I believe that movie is more than just about a prison, more about friendship and hope and, not giving up and believing what you feel needs to happen in a situation. And, I really enjoyed that movie, and I watch that movie at least once or twice a year. So, and then Tommy Boy would be the other side of the spectrum, which, the chemistry between Spade and Farley is just off the top. It's just fantastic. I just love how it goes light to dark, back to light, but then has this deep messages of this coming of age story of this guy that ends up becoming who he was supposed to become, Maybe
for sure. I mean, that's one of the things that I think everyone acknowledges about Farley, and a lot of that comedy is there was always heart. It wasn't stupid comedy. He might be making fun of his characters a bit with them being buffoons, but there was always a lot of heart.
I also heard he was going to play Shrek at one point, which that would have made an interesting Shrek instead of Mike Myers. So. And then the last one would be Mad Max Fury Road, which I am excited about. Furiosa, of course. And just the way how you could make just a car chase a whole movie and make it interesting. That's great. That's great writing. That's great cinematography. It's just so cool that a lot of it's not CGI, and there was a lot of stuntmen on the set doing all of those stunts. And I'm sure there were some CGI, obviously. But, it's just such a cool movie. And I really appreciated it. So.
Excellent. All right. Well, question number 2 is name a film that you feel is underrated.
Underrated. Ooh. Have you ever seen Street Smart? With Morgan Freeman, he plays a pimp.
I did not see it. I've heard. It rings a bell.
Yeah, it's his earlier work before Roddy Miss Daisy, and it was an interesting perspective to see Morgan Freeman play a pimp, which I really enjoyed. And he drinks Yoo-hoo the whole time during the movie. So, shout out to Yoo-hoo.
I grew up on Yoo-hoo.
It's good stuff.
I did dodge your question, getting to know me better, but my dad owned a liquor store in the shadows of Disney Studios in Burbank, and man, I loved Yoo-hoo.
Oh, it's good. I mean, chocolate milk is still good today.
I've heard there's chemicals in it that Yoo-hoo will survive a nuclear explosion, but
hey, we'll be right there next to Twinkies.
Fair enough. All right, and question number 3 is a film that is overrated.
Overrated. A lot of people would say Avatar is overrated. As a filmmaker now making a movie, I don't think anything is overrated, how hard it is to make a movie. So I do appreciate the whole process of doing it and how long it takes in post-production. So making any Hollywood movie, I couldn't imagine how hard that would be, working with all those people on sets and making sure everything is getting done. But there are movies I don't like the ending. I thought Spring Breakers. I don't know if you saw Spring Breakers, but with James Franco, I just thought it was so far-fetched. Sometimes I just think, and some endings are just so far-fetched, and that's not what I think would have really happened, that a bunch of girls are going to run into some bunch of gangsters and just start shooting them up and just get away scot-free and drive away in a Ferrari, but that's what the guy wanted to do that made kids, and Kids was a wild movie, and it put him on the map. And then he gets to make whatever he wants after that. So, but I would. But a lot of people would say Avatar because of the whole thing. He just copied Pocahontas. People do believe that. But
no, it's funny. Every once in a while, I would get sarcastic with someone who would bring up the Pocahontas. They would say, I've seen that Avatar story 1,000 times. I go, I know. I'm so tired of paraplegic war veterans getting a new life in a virtual reality and helping to save people. Yeah, I'm so tired of there was a lot of originality in the film too, but I think it made so much money, and Cameron is such a presence as Mr. Titanic and Avatar that I think people throw stones at him that I'm not sure they always think it through.
No, I don't think they do. And without the CGI that he created back then, I don't think we would have what we have today. But you could also say that because of Jurassic Park. So
yeah, which is also great. All right, well, there's one question left, which is name and by the way, you've kind of already done it, but name a lesser known film that people should seek out.
Which I would say Street Smart, but there are so many hidden films out there. My film, We Need Rent Money.
There you go. We Need Rent Money. People should seek it out, and they can find it if they just type out those words into Amazon Prime Video or Tubi. People should. I will get on my soapbox at the moment and say you should watch it without commercials on Amazon. Don't go over to Tubi and put up with commercials, but everyone spends money as they wish. But
I don't mind the advertising stream money. I don't mind it. But anyway, they want to go see it. But if they are in the Sherman Oaks area, I'd love to meet them in person. And like I said, the We Need Rent Money 424 experience is a blast. And I love meeting new people and getting people excited about filmmaking and just passionate about whatever they want to do in life. So
it checks out. All right. Well, we need rentmoney.com is your website.
Yes, sir.
And We Need Rent Money is your Instagram too, right?
Yes, sir. All one word.
All one word. It was a long enough title that you didn't even need to add movie or film at the end, huh? No one had grabbed We Need Rent Money before.
Nope, no one did. I'm surprised by that, but it worked out. Like I said, you do the work, the universe answers your call. And like I said, maybe people are watching this that are not filmmakers, but I believe we all have our own We Need Rent Money in life we want to accomplish, and life's too short, so just go for it. Use all the tools and resources you have available to you and make it happen.
Absolutely. All right, well, normally I finish up by naming all the websites and URLs of the film festival, but since your film didn't come through the film festivals, I'll just tell everybody, hey, I run 2 film festivals, a few other things. It's all in the show notes. We'll have links to Blake's We Need Rent Money stuff in the show notes too. So if you want to learn more, just go to the Old Fashioned Podcast show notes and there'll be clickable links.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me. And
thank you, Blake. I applaud you. I applaud your spirit. We thankfully I think the people I'm talking about aren't listening, but so I will say with comfort that I know a lot of people who, when they take on a task, around the 4th or 5th no, they decide it's not worth it. And you are a living example.
You are talking to somebody that believes that it is not a dream if you are doing it. It's a dream to think it's going to come to you without actually doing the work. You have to put the work in order to do it.
And the truth is, there's going to be way more than 4 or 5 no's. All the whether it's in the great inventors in history or filmmakers, this, that. If you are doing something that's at all outside the norm, it takes a while and it takes perseverance. And And really, right, the difference between someone who gets a film made and doesn't get a film made is perseverance.
Oh, I felt like there were times that this film wasn't going to get done, and I felt like I was drowning, like making the movie, because I wanted to look at it as a bunch of short films, each scene. But then it turned into a feature film in my head because that's what it was. And then you show up to sets and you tell a bud tender, or you have a few little dialogue, and then the bud tender at the real dispensary says, I'm not going to be in your movie. And then why couldn't they tell me this before I got there? So I had to play the bud tender. So, but as any indie filmmaker knows, you got to wear many hats. And it's just, I've just been so blessed and honored to be a part of this whole thing we call film. And like I said, I don't want it to stop or it's over. So that's my advice to anybody: is life's too short. Do what you want to do in life, because if it makes you happy and you're passionate about it, it will show. So, absolutely.
All right, Blake. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Jeff, and you have a great day, sir.
You too. Thank you, and thank you everyone who's listening.
Bye-bye.